The 7 Gates of Gondolin were 7 mighty gates guarding the Orfalch Echor. They were built by King Turgon to protect Gondolin from invasion. It was through these that Tur and Voronul passed to get into Tumlin. However, it was not through these that the host of Morgoth came in the fall of Gondolin, as after hearing Ulmo's warning, Turgon closed the doors. Each of the gates had their own form and special guard, from the end of the Orfalch furthest from Gondolin to the one bordering Tumlin. The Gate of Wood was the first gate of the 7 Gates of Gondolin. It was placed at the end of the secret passage, and the beginning of the Orfalch Echor, in an arch bordered by pillars. It was essentially a wooden portcullis that rose upon being touched in a certain place, an attribute which may have been cancelable in the case of siege. It stood in Orfalch Echor, half a league from the Gate of Wood. It was in form a wall with 2 stone towers. The gate was, in fact, a large, dark, and polished stone placed upon a pivot, above which was a bright lantern. When pushed upon on one side, the gate would swing until perpendicular to its previous position. This feature could doubtless be disabled in time of siege. The guards of the Gate of Stone were robed in gray. The Gate of Bronze was the third of the 7 Gates of Gondolin, in shape a wall spanning the Orfalch Echor mounted by 3 square towers, roofed and clad in bright copper. The double door hung with shields and bronze plates, wrought with many figures and strange signs. There were many red lamps along the wall, which made the copper and bronze shine like fire. The guards of this gate wore red mail, and carried red-bladed axes. These guards were mostly Sindar of Neverest. The Gate of Ritheniron was the 4th of the 7 Gates of Gondolin. It spanned the highest point of the canyon. After this gate, it widened out and became somewhat green and dotted with willows. The wall and 4 towers appeared to be wrought of iron, and no lanterns hung from the ramparts. The wall was the thickest of all the 7 gates. Between the 2 inner towers was the iron image of Thorndr, king of eagles. The gate itself was made of 3 layers, each of iron wrought in the shapes of trees bearing flowers and leaves. Through these could be seen the sky. The Gate of Silver was the 5th of the 7 Gates of Gondolin, in shape a low and broad wall of white marble spanning the Orfalch Echor. The parapet was a trellis of silver between 5 great globes of marble. The gate was in shape as 3 parts of a circle, and wrought of silver and pearl, in the likeness of the moon. Above the gate upon the midmost globe was an image of the white tree Telperion, wrought of silver and malachite, with flowers made of great pearls of Balar. The archers who guarded this gate were robed in white. Beyond the gate were stationed 200 archers in silver mail and white, crested helms. The Gate of Gold was the 6th of the 7 Gates of Gondolin. It was the last of the ancient gates of Turgon that were wrought before the Nirnath Arnodiad. The gate was similar in appearance to the Gate of Silver, however the wall was made of yellow marble, and the globes and parapet were of red gold. There were 6 globes, and in the midst upon a golden pyramid was set an image of Lorellan, with flowers wrought of topaz in long clusters upon chains of gold. The gate itself was decorated with many rayed discs of gold, in likenesses of the sun, set amid devices of garnet and topaz and yellow diamonds. Beyond the gate were rayed 300 archers, with longbows. Their mail was gilded, and tall golden plumes rose from their helmets, and their great round shields were red as flame. It was the last gate both in order of entering and construction, having been built by Meglin some centuries after the other 6 as an ultimate defense after the disaster of the Nirnath Arnodiad. Though all but impassable to an enemy, the gate ultimately failed to prevent the fall of Gondolin. Ecthelion was the warden of the gate, which was like a great steel fence across the Orfalch Echor. The fence had 7 great needle-like pillars of steel, and between these pillars there were 7 crossbars of steel, and 49 vertical rods with heads like broad blades of spears. In the center, above the midmost pillar, was raised a mighty image of the king, helm of Turgon, the crown of the hidden kingdom, set about with diamonds. The gate opened inward on either side of the pillar of the crown, and when opened, it led to a high sword that looked over Tumlin.